Good morning, everyone. This is the 20th of our little guideposts, our thoughts for the day. And today, this one's based on something that I wrote in 2017, and it's called The Silence Behind the Words. The place where you and I exist is way beyond the veil, a place where silence is the key, because there words have failed. Without the quietness within, our words would intersect and jumble up into one long sound in a cacophony of disrespect. It's in the silence we are known, a place where love's expressed, while listening ears and focused eyes is where we're truly blessed. In the silence behind the words we speak and we're fully known. When we stop to take a breath, then our spirit we have shown. So meet with me in silence, in a place behind the words we say, and let us be more fascinated in the silence we both display. I think it's the first time I came up with the description of myself as a chattering chimp. I always thought of myself as somebody who I knew my stuff, I'd done my study, I knew what I was talking about, and I was worth listening to. Not that anybody else wasn't worth listening to, but particularly I was worth listening to. And then I realized that I really can't possibly have the handle on everything. There's what I know, there's what I know that I don't know, but there's also what I don't know that I don't know. So maybe it's in pure presence that we should know each other, and that's why I wrote this poem. And they say, don't they, if it's all right if you keep your mouth shut, they don't know, but once you've opened your mouth, then they know whether you are or you aren't okay or not. So silence is golden because you're colorblind. Yeah, and it's worth spending some time in silence. And when you Karen and Catherine visited, there were some pauses. We had lots of conversation, but there were lots of little pauses, and that's when you get some space to be able to take in what's been already said. And I think you were actually talking about you'd had some time away at the weekend, the two of you together, and there was times like that, times of silence, where you felt like you'd met in a way that the words didn't help you to meet. You wonder if you'd like to say something about that?
Well, the experience I had, from my perspective, and Catherine kind of agreed with me. One instance was when we were sat across from each other at the table, we'd just eaten a meal, and we were just in that presence with each other, and it was as if we'd gone into this expanded consciousness where everything outside of the room didn't exist. It was just whatever was there in that room at that moment was all there was. And then what I sensed was that I connected with my source self, and the words just came through me, you know, the right words, and the heart expansion. It just like I was flooding love out into the world, and those people that needed it would receive it. And Catherine kind of acknowledged that as well. Well, she's, you know, she confirmed that too, that she was having the same experience. It was just a meeting of consciousness, you know, in that moment. It was a prolonged moment as well. Yeah, we had many times during the weekend where we felt that connection on a soul level, and that everything else was kind of dissolving around us, and that we were just in that presence with each other. So it was really beautiful.
When you were here and you were telling me about that, it reminded me of a time when I was with my family in London, and we were in Regent Street, and they'd all gone into Hamley's toy store, And we'd already been in once before, and there's 4 floors of toys, and I'd seen it all within about 5 minutes really, and I wanted to come back out again, and just thought, just plastic and nonsense and commercialism, and I just wanted to, I said, I'm not going inside the shop with you. Well, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'll just stand outside. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And I just stood there in Regent Street, and there's this hustle and bustle. There's literally thousands of people walking past quite quickly as well, most of them. They're in a hurry. And I locked eyes with people as they were walking past. And I said, a blessing to you, a blessing to you. You know, and I must have blessed about 300 people by the time. And it was in silence. I wasn't actually saying the words, a blessing to you. I was just catching them in the eye and smiling. And then as they walked by, thinking, a blessing to you. And it felt so empowering. And, you know, I love my words, as you know, but I was in silence, and I felt like I was meeting with, very briefly, meeting with all these people who are in a rush to get wherever they're going. But I'm sending a blessing to them. And I think that we do have an ability in silence to communicate. We were also talking, weren't we, about the native Australians being able to talk by telepathy, that they'd actually made some scientific study on them without mobile phones, communicating over, I think what I read was it was like over 20 miles away, and they were they were having a proper conversation. So I think that we have powers as human beings that in the industrial age, we've lost them, and the indigenous tribes still use it. And you were talking about that as well, about bringing that back, weren't you?
Well, it's strange because on the way home from Catherine's, I got somebody's name and face in my head as I was driving, and I just pulled over in a lay-by because there's a beautiful lake not far from where I live. And I just stopped. It was a gorgeous day, so I just stopped to take in the view and got in my car, and this person rang me on the phone. It was literally within about 10 minutes of me having that vision of her in my mind's eye. So I don't doubt that we do pick up on these things, and happens from time to time for me. You know, I'll get a thought, and then, you know, something will transpire into reality. You know, a connection. You know, those things. Oh, I was just thinking about you, and you know, when the phone had rung, and, you know, or a song comes on the radio that you're thinking of, or yeah,
Mm.
we all get those moments, but we don't always acknowledge how often it does happen, and whether we don't always overthink it. You know, well, that's interesting, that's happened. It's just, sometimes we just blasé to it, you know.
I know the radio waves are in the atmosphere, aren't they? They're there all the time. You just need a device to tune into it. So maybe we just need to tune into each other. But I do remember a day when I was singing this particular song, and it wasn't current. It wasn't a popular. It was a popular song, but it wasn't in the chart. And I'm singing along at top of my voice. I turned the radio on, and the song was at exactly that place that I'd got to. So, you know, it's weird, but it's real.
Yeah, my mum had an experience when her father passed away. She said it was as if he was sitting on her shoulder telling her what to do. Like, she had to go and get my gran a coat, and it's as if she knew what shop to go into, and the exact coat was there that she needed, and she knew what colour flowers he wanted and what type of flowers, and it was as if he was talking to us and giving her information. It was like she'd get these knowings and songs and all sorts of things, and then he kind of just disappeared after a while. You know, she felt like he was with her still, so, you know, that was very comforting for her.
And then when my grandma died, my dad all the colour went. He was out doing a part-time job, and this lady said to him, "Are you all right?" Because he'd gone from being quite ruddy complexion to just having a white face, completely white face. He said, I don't feel very well." So she said, "Well, sit down, I'll make you a cup of tea." And then when he got home, his elder brother was waiting for him to say that Mum had died at exactly that moment. So we are in our industrialized materialistic world, we are not using some of the powers that we have as human beings. They've been lost. It's not that they've gone altogether. They need rediscovering, and it isn't totally strange. It's that we use them. It's totally strange that we don't. So there is scientific proof for what sounds like, shall we say the words, mumbo jumbo.
Oh.
There is scientific proof that these things exist, and I think, you know, that equally there must be a species consciousness for humanity, but we're just trapped in this materialism, so we don't see it. So what I'm going to do now, because it has gone on a little longer than usual, is I'm going to read my poem. I'm going to end the broadcast. So it's called "The Silence Behind the Words," my poem. The place where you and I exist is way beyond the veil, a place where silence is the key, because there words have failed. Without the quietness within, our worlds would intersect and jumble up into one long sound in a cacophony of disrespect. It's in the silence we are known, a place where love's expressed. With listening ears and focused eyes is where we're truly blessed. In the silence behind the words we speak, and we're fully known. When we stop to take a breath, then our spirit we have shown. So meet with me in silence, in a place behind the words we say, and let us be more fascinated in the silence we both display. Namaste.